Here at home, National Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent has resigned, saying he couldn't support Operation Epic Fury because, quote, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Joining us now for more on this, No Spin News host Bill O'Reilly. Bill, great to have you. First of all, thanks for coming in. This
Happy
is full circle for
St.
me,
Patrick's Day.
Yes, indeed. Great to see you.
Just got out of the White House. Free meal there.
Oh, good.
You know, for the Irish people. They felt sorry for us, I guess.
Well, I hope they fed you something other than potatoes. That's for sure. Let's get into this, and then we'll get to St. Patrick's Day at the end. Let's talk about Joe Kent's resignation, his reasoning. He's created another debate over Iran's threat in the U.S. DNI Tulsi Gabbard released this statement. We want to read it to the audience. She said that President Trump is responsible for determining what is and is not an imminent threat, and that President Trump took action against Iran. But Chairman Emeritus of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Michael McCaul, said on Elizabeth Vargas reports that Iran did not pose such an imminent threat. Watch.
But to be clear, you thought an attack from Iran on the United States was imminent?
I do not. I think that the ICBM capability would be an imminent threat to the United States, but they have not developed that capability. That's something they've been working on.
Right.
They do have the ballistic missiles that they've fired that they could deliver a dirty bomb to, but they didn't have the ICBM capabilities developed.
I mean, but the Iranians can reach U.S. troops and U.S. assets.
Well, listen, the word imminent is problematic because it can be taken in a different set of circumstances. So what we're learning, what I'm learning tonight, and I'll have more tomorrow, is that this guy, Mr. Kent, he has it out for Israel. We've traced him back. And he has said in the past that he believes Israel has too much influence on the Trump administration. This isn't new from him. So the Trump administration removed him from any consideration of the Iran action. He was not involved at all, which is very unusual for a counterterrorism chief, okay, not to be involved at all. Because if you're going to go after terrorists, you're going to have blowback. And that's counterterrorism.
Well, and Iran is the largest state sponsor of terror in the world. So seemingly you would think he'd be
I want NewsNation viewers tonight to just be logical here, okay, not emotional. So you've got a head of the counterterrorism crew, okay? And he believes that Israel has too much influence on the Trump administration. Okay, Trump administration knows that because he's not a phony. This guy didn't hide it.
And they dispute that. They say the president makes his own decisions,
yes,
obviously.
He disputes it. But they take him out of the game. He's on the bench. So he goes, all right, I don't like this at all, and I'm going to resign, which is the honorable thing for him to do, by the way, Kent. If you don't agree with the policies of the person you're working for, you resign. But we don't know what the word imminent means to the President of the United States. We don't know what that is. Now, Mr. Trump should define that word. They should. And he should do it, not Hegseth or anybody like that. From my vantage point, and I get an awful lot of information, Katie, as you know, this is a war of opportunity. Whereas the Israeli government came and said, look, you're getting nowhere negotiating with the Iranians. Nowhere. In the last negotiation, the Iranians were so bold in Geneva, they told Witkoff, blank you.
Right.
We're going to do what we want. So there was an opportunity to take them out all at once. That combined with the defiance of the Iranian government. We're going to develop nukes. We're going to develop ballistics. We're going to do what we want. We don't care what you say.
Right.
Led the president to start the action. I believe that is what happened.
So the administration has pointed out there are a number of objectives. They say the president believed that Iran would strike first. That was the imminent threat. They also said they needed to get rid of the ballistic missile program because that was what was protecting their ability to build a nuclear program. That was the biggest one that the president's been talking about. In terms of Joe Kent, I think it's important to point out that he is a decorated combat veteran. He's deployed multiple times overseas. His wife, Shannon Kent, was killed in combat during the war against ISIS during the first Trump administration. However, I do have some questions about the timing of this. He said during his confirmation hearing a year ago that he wanted to go back into fighting terrorism. It would be an honor to do that. He also has heard President Trump talking about taking on the Iranian regime since the 1980s. And then today, on a bit of a random Tuesday, with all the background that you just talked about, and the day before Tulsi Gabbard, the head of DNI, is testifying on Capitol Hill, this comes out. So do you think there was anything to that timing to try and embarrass the intelligence community? Because obviously all the questions are going to be about this tomorrow.
I have no idea. I can't get into minds of these people. I'm a fact-based guy. All I can tell you is this. You're absolutely correct when you said that in his confirmation hearings, Mr. Kent, who served honorably, said to the Senate, I'm a warrior. My wife was killed in Syria. I want to get these terrorists. But there's a big difference between being a warrior and believing that a foreign government, Israel, is calling the shots. That's where the diversion came. I don't see any conspiracy here. I don't. I think this was a guy who was teed off. He believes what he believes.
You're saying he's a disgruntled employee, essentially?
Yeah, he believes it. And there are some people, not the majority of people, but he believes it. But getting back to the key word, imminent, that you can define that 50 different ways.
Well, and I think the question is, okay, let's debate the word imminent, but how imminent does something have to be? Do they have to be putting a nuclear warhead on a ballistic missile before we decide it's imminent? I mean, typically, you want to stop threats before they start. And the administration, I think, has made a very good argument for taking out the ballistic missile program, the nuclear program, in order to make sure that the region, the world, is not held hostage by them when it got to a point of no return and not being able to take out the ballistic missile program.
Here's where that becomes a bit, your analysis becomes a little problematic.
Well, it's not my analysis. It's Marco Rubio's analysis.
Well, it's the administration's analysis. Correct. Okay, it becomes a little problematic because the American people need to know what exactly the threat was or is.
What about the regime killing Americans for 47 years? Being the largest state sponsor of terrorism, blowing up troops in Iraq.
I can only speak for me as an American today. I think President Trump did the right thing by doing this action. But the unintended consequences are going to be painful.
What are those?
Economics. Okay.
Long-term or short-term?
Well, you never know. You don't know what is going to happen in the next week. I don't think this stretches out into April, even though President Trump had delayed his Beijing trip with Xi. I don't see this stretching out that long because the infrastructure of Iran is about over.
Right.
All they need to do now, and they did it today, as you reported, is get the drones. Knock the drone Hormuz Strait stuff out. Once they do that, they don't have anything left. Iran has nothing left.
Right.
So what do you do then? Do you send the 2,500 Marines who are in Kuwait right now into Karg Island? So you strangle Iran, nobody eats, there's no food that goes in? So you do that? There are a number of things that you can do. But I see the Iranians giving up in the sense that they go, okay, now we want to talk. Mm-hmm. I see that happening.
There's been a lot of talk about alliances. The Israeli Air Force and the U.S. Air Force have been incredible the last 2 weeks. There have been over 15,000 targets struck, 6,000 combat missions just by our Air Force alone. What do you make of the argument that our allies are leaving us behind and not helping us? I mean, you have the UK and France.
You sure you want to ask me this?
I would love to hear your answer on this. I think the alliances are changing. I would love to hear your analysis of the allies in Europe.
Pavlich asked for this, okay? Germany's the worst, the absolute worst.
Worse than France.
Way worse. France is bad in Iraq. Okay?
But I mean right now, when the president's asking
Germany is the worst. Today, right this second, as we speak. To release a statement going, it's not our war, arrogant beyond belief. Ever since World War II ended in 1945, we have carried them. 100% carried them, defended them against Stalin and the communists. And they have the gall? Shut up. How do you say that in German? All right, I don't know. Shut up. If you don't like it, okay, but don't try to say it's not our war. You're a bunch of jerks, okay? We saved your butt. I don't know how to say butt in German either.
Well, saving it
You
again now.
owe us. Okay, that's Germany. The worst. Biggest economy, okay? Could be a help. Okay, France, wishy-washy, depending on the day.
We don't even know if we want them involved.
Okay. Yeah. Spain, I'd throw them out of NATO. If I'm the president, they're gone. I put them on waivers, to use a baseball term. Mm-hmm. Hey, Spain, you want to be socialist, communist? Good. You're not in the alliance anymore. Okay?
They're also not paying into the alliance.
They're not paying, and they won't allow American military to refuel on their on their
What about
land.
the UK? And then we got to get to St. Patrick's Day.
UK, I think you got to try to persuade them because they have always been our best ally. Sturm is weak. It's not going to be there much longer, okay? They're going to boot him out. This will be what, the 19th prime minister they've had in the last year, okay? He's weak, and he's afraid. He's afraid of the immigrant community in Great Britain, and he's afraid of the left in Great Britain.
Yeah.
But I think in UK, they have built up enough currency with us that you try to persuade them.
Yeah.
You don't hammer them. Italy has been fine.
Italy's great. We like the Prime Minister of Italy. Before you go, you were at the White House. You're in Washington, D.C. for festivities for St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
As a fellow Irish woman, I am happy that you're here. What is your Irish message today?
There were too many Irish people in a close quarters. You never want that.
It's great.
That's why I don't go to pubs. You don't want that many Irish people in close. No. We had a lot of laughs. President Trump gave a very nice speech. So did the president of the Republic. Now, Northern Ireland, that's a different story. They're communists up there. I'm actually going to Ireland in May. But it was a very, very nice, and every time I go into the White House, and I'm sure you're the same way, there's no place like it on Earth.
Amazing.
You know, it doesn't really matter who the president is. You're just sitting there, just looking like this.
It's amazing.
Right.
Yes, it is.
So we had a good day, and I'm hoping and praying that this Iran thing wraps as quickly as possible.
Well, maybe we got some more good luck today. So, Bill O'Reilly, great to see you. And
Katie,
thank you again for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.